I tell the guys, we're thin but mighty. Anybody that's ever asked about our program over the last few years, I've been saying the same thing. And
Person's always been a tough football team. You know, one thing about us is we're going to play tough. We love to hit. You know, hitting is like preached, and it's like the gospel in person.
I don't want to have all these rules and all these things that you got to try and memorize. Just the word all in. All in.
Football is one of the greatest sports in the world.
It was certainly emotional, no doubt about it. It always is between us and Ocean City.
I don't like losing. The kids don't like losing. And I don't want to lose to the same team over and over and over again. We want to win a state championship.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Cal One-on-One right here on Cape Atlantic Live, presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service. I'm your host, Nick Kosko. With me today is Mainland head coach Joe Smith. Coach, an absolute pleasure to talk to you. I know you're new to Mainland, but you're South Jersey baseball royalty. So a new look for you this year with the Mustangs. First, just describe the emotions of taking over this team and what it's been like over the first 2, 3, 4 weeks now at this point.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Nick. I really appreciate it. The Mainland kid's been great. We've been at it in the weight room since I got approved. It's a great school. A lot of support from the administration, the parents. We have a great coaching staff, and the kids been working really hard. We just got back from Florida. We played about 8, 9 games down there, actually. And, we're just trying to put the pieces together. You know, it's tough when you come in and you really don't know anyone. You heard of them, but we have a lot of kids fighting for varsity spots right now.
When you came into this job, and I'm glad you said, hey, it's difficult because you don't really know anybody. You just know of them. What was the first thing you did on your agenda, first team meeting, first practice? What was that like with the kids, considering you're coming into a new situation?
Yeah, we had like a little team meeting just to introduce myself and my staff. We have a couple guys that teach at Mainland, so it was easy in that transition, getting to know the kids a little quicker, a little better. But, they've been very responsive, and they're eager. I guess they've heard about me. They've played against me at times in my program. And, I guess they were more curious about who I was as much as I was just curious about who they were.
Why this job? You had a very successful tenure at Delsea. You got to the state final last year with the Crusaders, multiple sectional titles with Delsea. What exactly pulled you to this job? I know Billy Kern moved up to the athletic director position in Mainland, so the job was open. But what really attracted you to make this type of move here in 2025?
I retired as a teacher at Delsea. And, I was informed that retired teachers may not be allowed to coach, and they weren't sure about it. We got a new board, a new administration, new super. My athletic director just reached out and was giving me a heads up that it would be possibly a possibility that I couldn't coach. And I live a half mile from the school, and it just happened to open up as all this was happening. And, I was like, it's a great opportunity. If I don't put in my name for the hat now, and I may never do it again. And, Mainland's very similar to Delsea. They're big on their athletics. All sports, boys and girls, are competitive, and they take pride in their sports. And their administration is very supportive. And it just felt like the right thing to do.
No doubt. Mainland does have a rich baseball history, especially as of late. 20-6 last year, made it back to the South Jersey Group 3 playoffs. So with expectations, I guess, they usually just carry over at this point, especially for Mainland over the past couple of years. You mentioned across the athletic department, it seems like it's like that with football, basketball, baseball, you name it. How do you put that on the kids, or how do you explain that to the kids, I should say? Hey, you guys won 20 games last year. I know it's a new regime, so to speak. We have a lot of returners, but how do you explain that to the kids? Like, hey, don't look too far ahead. Still take it one game at a time. What's that messaging like?
Yeah, I've simply said, listen, I'm not here to change anything. I'm just here to try to keep the bus moving, drive the bus in the right direction, and that's about it. Like, I have a different style. Which kids, they have to get used to, and things like that. We play a lot of small ball, which everybody in the state understands, and they just have to get better each day. And it's frustrating at times because, again, they're not used to, putting a bunt down. Some of the kids never bunted in their life. But, they're buying into it, and, we're going to get better at it. Right now, we're very average at that sort of thing. But there's a lot more than bunting. Baseball has a lot of angles to it. So they're just working hard. I mean, getting used to the new staff, getting used to the practices, and just everything we do.
You mentioned the small ball type of stuff. I actually heard that you were a pretty big small ball fan when it came to your coaching style and your playing style with all your baseball teams. Where did that originate from? Is that just like an old school mentality of approaching the offensive game, or maybe shortening the game on defense? Where does that style come from?
It actually started way back with Lee Ware, the coach of Woodstown. I always looked up to him, and the way his style was. And then when I went to Tom's River and coached under Coach Frank, the winningest coach in New Jersey history, it just makes sense, because if you want to go to a state final and go deep in the playoffs, you need to be able to get the bunts down, because you're going to be facing guys, D1 guys. I mean, every year we make a run in the playoffs or the Diamond Classic, you're facing SEC arms and ACC arms, and your average high school lineup 1 to 9, you only got a couple guys in there that can hit them, and you got the guys that can hit them. I always say we're not going to be somebody's headline. We're not going to be like Fluky strikes out 16, and so when we played EHT, I think we bunted 7 times against him, and he finally ended up throwing one away. We ended up winning, but that's just an example. But that's why. I mean, if you can't bunt, you're probably not going to advance.
I like that mentality. Don't be somebody's headline. I might use that later, actually. So you alluded to the Florida trip before the season, and I've talked to multiple coaches, especially the teams that have been highly successful in the Cape Atlantic League as of late. They usually take those preseason trips, down to the Carolinas, Myrtle Beach. You mentioned Florida. What was that trip like? You mentioned you played what was it? 8 games down in Florida.
We actually played 9 games, 6
okay,
3 JV.
So when you take a trip like that, is that I guess a combination of a bonding experience / hey, let's just get a bunch of games under our belt, try to get our feet wet, considering especially this year with a shorter preseason leading up to the season opener, which was this weekend. It's not even April yet. What are those trips like for you, and have you done them in the past too?
Yeah, I've done them. I've been to Disney. Took my team to Puerto Rico before. I've been to Myrtle Beach probably 8 times. It's just about team getting together, bonding, and this year especially with me coming in as a new coach and this, the preseason shortened. I mean, we had to try to do as much as possible, play as much as possible. Some people say you're crazy playing that much, but this year we had to. I can't imagine not going. I mean, we would have played 1 scrimmage, and it's not fair to the kids. We're trying to give everybody equal looks, equal amount of, seeing what they got, and them showing us what they have. So I think we did that. And I was talking to my buddy the other day. I was like, my old coach at Delsey, he's actually in a better situation. I mean, he's never been a head coach in his life. He's a great assistant, and he'll be a great head coach, but he's walking into his team knowing exactly what he's got. And I'm coming in as a veteran coach knowing nothing. I don't know what we have. So the preseason was gigantic for us, and playing all those games was fantastic. And we're still we played the prep the last 2 days, and we're still juggling kids because we're still sure of what our lineup and what kids can do under pressure, and so we'll get there, but we're not even close yet.
Looking at those first 2 games, and I know it's early, so I'm sure a lot of teams, whether they won the first 2 or lost the first 2 or even split, I'm sure they're saying we're going to take a grain of salt from those types of games, especially in late March. 13-2 to the prep, but then 10-7, you closed the gap yesterday. you have a lot of veteran players back. What exactly did you learn from these first two games? Considering, I mean, St. Augustine Prep pretty much year to year is considered, I guess, the team to beat in the Cape Atlantic League, if not 1A or 1B with somebody else. What'd you guys learn from that opening series?
Well, I learned that the Prep's very good, which I already knew. And I told the guys before, listen, you went 3-0 against them last year. We walked them off last year at Delsey in the bottom of the 7th. They're going to come in hungry and with a lot of fire and a lot of attitude. And, we're going to have to play an A game to beat them. The first day, Jake Logic pitched great. He gave up one hit. It was a 2-run homer, took him out, 2-1. And then we tried to piece it together. And our next guy he stepped up all preseason and he just didn't have it that day. I don't know if it was the weather or whatever, but he just didn't have it. Then it was 4-1, and it was kind of like, we can't really throw Finn or Hickman or Bruno. He couldn't really throw anybody at that point, and it just got away from us. I mean, 12 walks against the number 2 team in South Jersey. I mean, we're lucky they didn't score 20 runs.
Yeah.
Then yesterday, Finn and Hickman and Bruno, they pitched well. But again, the Prep's tough. I mean, their lineups 1-9's tough, and we made a couple mistakes. Offensively, we couldn't execute. We actually left 15 guys on base yesterday. We came back from 7-2, tied it at 7, and we just couldn't get the 2-out hit all day long. And actually, all 10 of their runs came with 2 outs.
Wow.
So, it was a tough matchup, but we definitely grew yesterday, and I'm proud of the guys' fight. I mean, they fought hard yesterday, and we're headed in the right direction.
It's interesting you bring up tidbits like guys left on base or the 2-out hitting. Is that in simple situational type baseball? Is that something that you kind of just have to hope that works out? I mean, how do you necessarily practice that when you're, I guess, in the middle of a week leading up to a game? And do you just say, all right, there's 2 outs here, we're just going to keep practicing the situation? Or is that more of the mental side of the game of baseball?
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's baseball. Who gets the 2-out hit and who doesn't usually ends up on top or losing. But, to prepare for it, I mean, you just got to get experience. We have a lot of guys in our lineup that really weren't in the batting lineup last year. We have arms coming back. But as far as our offense, there's only probably 3 kids that got a handful of bats last year. So we're fighting through that. And, that's another thing as a coach. We got to see, what kids are gritty, what kids like those situations, what kids feel a little overwhelmed in those situations. And it's just it's just a mentality to find a way to put the ball in play. I mean, that's high school baseball. If you can put the ball in play, you'll win a lot of games. And we struck out with bases loaded probably 4 innings. And, we just couldn't get it done. We just couldn't manufacture any runs. And, it was just a tough day. But like I said, I'm proud of the kids. They really fought hard.
When you get this thing rolling, you already alluded to some of your guys, especially on the mound, a lot of experience coming back on the pitching mound. Guys like Jake Logic, Finn Haynes, Luca Bruno, and others. I know Chase Kamek, you've also alluded to in the outfield before we got on. When you see that experience, I got to imagine, despite a tough opening series, you got stuff to work on, no doubt. But then you're also relying on experienced guys on the mound and also a little bit in the batter's box. I guess in the back of your head, do you think, okay, we're going to be all right, we just have to start getting this thing rolling?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Me and my coaches talked last night, this morning. We're constantly talking. How can we, what can we do? We got today's practice plan. We have too much talent, especially on the mound. And I always tell the guys, it starts and ends on the mound. I mean, that's it. I mean, both ways, the pitcher you're facing and us. Like, if they're on and we're not, or we're on and they're not, that's how baseball is. But, yeah, I mean, we're going to be fine. I mean, the schedule is really tough. We probably have one of the toughest schedules in the state. But I can promise you, come May, people are going to start looking at those brackets and they're not going to want to play Mainland.
I like that attitude, considering you guys are in the top division in the Cape Atlantic League. And I know you're familiar with the league, just being on the outside looking in with Delsey and just, being around the area for a long time, kind of having these crossovers with these top teams. But teams like Ocean City, EHT, you mentioned, you guys already played St. Augustine Prep. What are the challenges of this American league, this American division in the Cape Atlantic League? Is this one of the toughest divisions that you've seen maybe across all of South Jersey baseball?
Yeah. I mean, years ago, it used to be the Olympic division.
Yeah.
They were always tough, and they still are. I mean, and then the Tri-County Royal, with Clearview and Kingsway and Williamstown, Gloucester Catholic, they were always tough. But this division, I mean, especially with the arms, I mean, it's ridiculous how many arms this league has. And, the coaches are great in this league. Everybody, we have a couple new coaches, but for the most part, coach has been around, and they do a good job. South Jersey baseball in general is it's kind of like a hidden gem. Even when we're in Florida, people are like, oh, I don't even know how you play baseball in New Jersey, and with the weather, and we're playing all year round down here. But yeah, South Jersey baseball is top notch, and you can see with some of these programs, all you put on ESPN and watching college baseball, and you got guys from New Jersey all over playing everywhere. I mean, all over the country. So it's pretty cool.
I was about to say, it's probably a sense of pride for you when you go down to, Myrtle Beach or Florida, and these teams are practicing in January, and you guys are, just getting out of the batting cages inside, or, just doing weight room workouts, and you're like, yeah, we can hang with you and we can beat you too as well.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, wow, you guys only practice for a week? I said, yeah, and 2 days we're outside and 5 we're inside. And they're like, man, you guys are pretty impressive.
I like hearing that. Coach, I'll leave you here with this one. Again, I appreciate your time this morning. I know the season's already underway, and we've kind of already talked about expectations for Mainland here in 2025. But when you look ahead at a tough schedule like this, the experience you had coming back and starting to get, your fingerprints on the program now, what is the end goal here? I mean, obviously state championship, that'd be the easy answer, but how do you get these kids there, especially with a program that has seen success like that in the past and recent success as well with a sectional title?
Well, like you said, honestly, I know it sounds stupid, but we do take one pitch, one inning at a time. We really do. We focus on our job. Everybody has a job to do every pitch, either backing up bases or pick off signs or, whatever it is. But, we just have to stay the course, and especially me. And I've been reminded, my staff to remind me to just be patient, because there's a lot of new guys and there's so much being thrown at them. And, obviously we're used to winning and they're used to winning. And we're already off to an 0-2 start. And the kids have to understand, it is a little bit of a process, but we are here to win now. There is no waiting till next year. Every goal every year is to win the division. South Jersey, state, Diamond Classic, everything. I mean, we want to be in that, that talk, and hopefully we can get there. We do have the pitching staff to make a deep run in whatever it is, but you also have to execute, and yesterday, if we executed, we would have knocked off, the number 2 team in South Jersey, and we're just not there yet, and I got frustrated, but I have to understand it's going to take a little bit of time, and, hopefully by May 1st, when we start rolling, we're rolling.
I like hearing that. The win now mode here at Mainland, despite a new era. Coach Joe Smith here with me here on Cal 101 on Cape Atlantic Live, presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service. Coach, appreciate the time. Good luck the rest of the way. Hope to talk to you down the line as we get to May when you guys are obviously truly rolling.
All right, Nick. I really appreciate the opportunity.